Hello, friends. It is that time again. It is Thursday at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific for Live with Leigh on Thursdays. And I hope that you will just say hi over here in the comments and drop me in a little hello. I did just finish teaching my answer. Let me know where you're listening and watching from as well in the comments. If you're new to Thursdays with Leigh, we just straight up, I'll answer anything you got to ask for the next couple of minutes. So the first question that I received offline was, is this a good time to get into real estate? So what I would tell you is this. It depends on you, right? So just like it's always a good time for somebody to buy, it's always a good time for somebody to sell, but not necessarily anybody. It's always a good time to get into real estate if this is what you want to do. I mean, houses are bought and sold in every kind of market condition. So I can't stress that enough. No matter what's happening in your zip code, there are people buying and selling houses. And so when you get into a real estate in a tricky market, the good news is that a lot of people are going to pull back and quit trying, right? And so this is the opportunity to come in with a perspective that says you want to help. I mean, the best realtors are servant leaders anyway, and they're out there asking people about the ways that they can be helpful in the market, and they're out there trying to help people sort out if it's their best time to buy or sell. So will it get tricky? Yes. Are there challenges in real estate as far as what's happening with lawsuits and the DOJ? Yes. Are there always challenges in real estate? Yes. And so if you really want to survive, this is the time to do it, because if you pay attention, you might actually be ahead of the folks who've been in for 40 years who have stopped getting education, right? So there's another question coming in. It says Facebook user. I would say your name, but it doesn't show it, which I think is weird. But hey, it says, do I think refinancing is dead? And if yes, for how long? Look, refinancing has everything to do with the loan that you have and the rates that are out there. So right now, if you have a 30-year fixed and you have it at 8% because you never fooled with refinancing it in the last 15 years, you might want to refinance. But if you're at 2.5%, I think refinancing might not be a great idea. So it just depends on the numbers, right? So this is when, as a consumer, you sit down with your mortgage pro and you look at all the different options that are out there. I will say that when I'm talking to a buyer right now, I don't think it's a great time for a 15-year fix just for a lot of people, because it is a higher payment to a shorter payoff. But knowing that we're in a kind of uncertain jobs market for a little while here, we're waiting on some earnings reports to come out. We're going to see some challenges in the hiring market. What you should know is that a 15-year is going to have a higher payment. If you get a 30-year fixed, it's going to have a lower payment, which you can pay off faster, right? So you can always make extra payments on principal to treat a 30-year like a 15 if you stay employed, but it gives you a little bit of buffer if things get rough in the way that you're doing business. Kathy, that's a great point that you're looking forward to getting back to a professionals market. I actually addressed that a little in my class today. We are now entering a market where realtors are going to have to give professional advice on pricing, on showings, on being on the market for more than 5 minutes, because having the house on the market for 60 or 90 days can be wildly painful. And that's because showings are more sporadic. For the last 2.5 years, it's basically been a moment where you open up the door, let it revolve like a whirlwind, and then people go away. But as we enter a more normal market, it's going to take a lot of professional conversation. So hopefully our professionals will dust off their skills from the pre-COVID days. And most importantly, we'll share those skills with early career realtors, because we have to mentor each other to make the market great. And a lot of that means if you're an early career realtor who's watching these, and maybe you've only been in for the time of COVID, so the last 2.5 years, you need to call an old guard like me and just say, hi, I don't know what to do in a changing market. Help me out here. And so this is where you want to build those relationships. And actually, Eric, that's the best advice I would give to a new realtor right now, is to go make friends with somebody who's been in the game longer. Because a lot of us that have been in the business forever, we're totally cool sharing, and we want you to be successful, and we want you to know how to survive and thrive no matter what the markets are doing. And what's interesting right now is that it depends on what zip code you're in as to how your market's behaving. Some markets are still totally them with multiple offers. They are still not seeing a lot of softening. Other markets are watching prices start to stabilize and move down a little bit. It's all zip code by zip code. So the other big piece of advice I would give to a new realtor, Eric, is get to know your zip code and to get to know your market in a really intense way, because a lot of your competitors are just going to operate on old information. We saw this in the last recession. A lot of realtors didn't catch on to what was happening for a year and a half, and you need to be catching on within a day and a half because the markets are changing so quickly. And that's not a negative Nelly perspective. So before you think I'm a chicken little sky is falling, I'm not. I'm a realist. I really want to pay attention to what's changing in the market. And Carly, that's a great point. You do want to be the cooperating broker that you want to do business with. So respond to your texts, respond to your emails, respond to your phone calls, but also give a little grace. I will tell you that in the last 2.5 years have been hard in real estate, because not only have realtors had to manage in some states essential versus non-essential, they've had to deal with COVID rules and masks and hand sanitizer and booties. Still never figured that one out. But you've had all these moving rules and moving targets while we deal with the general public. Add on to that nobody's had a day off in the last 2.5 years, because as a realtor, if a house came on the market, you can't luxuriate around. You had to hop up and go. And so everybody's been on really big pins and needles and stressed out. So we've got to be a little more gracious to each other, because everybody's got something going on at home and you don't necessarily know about it because they don't talk about everything on social media. At least I wish they didn't. Eric, can I get the long in the tooth realtors to quit saying, honey, how long have you had your license? Look, my daddy always told me that there were realtors who had 1 year of license and had done 20 years worth of business. And then there were 20-year realtors who had 1 year experience times 20, because they hadn't done diddly squat since then. So if somebody says, how long have you had your license? You could ask them, well, who colors your hair? But that might be kind of ugly. So what you could say instead is, you know what? I think that you should take the latest Code of Ethics and Professionalism class, because the length of time in the business is not as relevant as with whom I am spending my time and getting involved with mentors and brokers. Would I buy leads from the interweb? Are you serious, Eric Kistner? You are such a joker. And actually, not everybody should even hire a coach, because some people won't listen to a coach. And so why would you hire somebody you ain't going to listen to anyway? But spending money online is putting money into a shareholder's pocket, when in reality you could be spending more time on sponsoring little league teams. Oh, there's my girl Sarah. I love her. One of the best instructors out there. Great school. Funny question. What makes me laugh and where am I ticklish? Look, I laugh at foolishness and I laugh at memes. Oh, I love a good meme. I love the Grand Old Memes account on Twitter and Instagram, but I tend to laugh at real life situations. I have a very busy sense of humor, and I kind of hate that the world doesn't have a sense of humor anymore, which is why I hang out with older people, because old people have a sense of humor. Young people tend to be too offended by things. And I am actually only ticklish when I'm getting a pedicure by this one guy named Jimmy, who is the best in Concord, because he's got like all the acupressure points. And so it tickles me, but I have to be cool because he'll stop fixing my feet if I act like it's ticklish. So yeah, I'm totally kind of random there. Kathy says, Eric Kistner, you should totally be investing in yourself. Kathy, you're allowed to invest in yourself because you'll do what a coach tells you, but not everybody else will, sister, because some people just can't be listening for squat. Let's see if there's any other questions that have come in here, because you got me for 5 more minutes. What's the other? Because I can, in your data points, what I really want you to do is go into your data and look at what's happening month over month in your zip code. If you don't know how to do that in your MLS, call down to the MLS and talk to the people that can help. Like I have Brian Perkins in Canopy, and he's amazing. And I forget things because Brian tells me, and I have to keep learning it again because, you know, a realtor with ADD, I think is just how our people are. But I don't mind relearning because I'm very humble about the fact that I don't remember everything. And so what Brian showed me was pulling month over month. And so I'm using that to show my sellers what's happening in their particular slice of the market in a real-time fashion, knowing that what I'm going to see next month is going to be wildly different because we're watching the trailing off with the interest rate shock. So it's a great opportunity to have conversations with people, though, because I saw an article today from NAR where now I think Dr. Lawrence Yun, who's our chief economist, is thinking we'll be at 7% mortgage rates by the end of the year. I love Lawrence. I think right there he's a little bit too optimistic and Pollyanna, because I do think personally it's going to be higher if you look at what's happening in the financial markets. But then again, I looked at the Wall Street expectations yesterday. They're pricing in 7 more rate forecast by the end of the year. They're already forecasting in 4 rate cuts next year, which means we're probably looking at a stagflation situation. And I've not lived through stagflation, so I've got a lot of research to do. So again, this is where, as a realtor, it doesn't matter if you've been in for 22 minutes, 22 years, or 22 lifetimes. You never know everything, and you've got to always be getting the next level of information. But at the end of the day, it's all about the relationships you have with your neighbors, and it's what you talk about at the grocery store and at the ball field and at church, and that's in go say hi to somebody. I mean, you just got to say hi and get the conversation started. You never want to walk up and say, hey, who do you know that needs to buy or sell? Because that's gross, and we don't have to be gross and icky. We just have to be relatable and in touch. And so with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope that you're having an amazing Thursday. Tune back in next Thursday at 5:30 for a Q&A with Leigh. If you have questions you want to submit backstage so your name's not attached to it, send me a DM. Otherwise, I'll see you guys back here. Go take care of yourselves.